Revealed, the amazing way your zodiac could transform your life in 12 heartwarming ways. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, Sarah drifted through her day like a ghost. Day after day, she balanced 2 jobs: waitressing at the local diner and cleaning office buildings at night. Each morning, the sun slipped through the blinds of her cramped apartment, the dull light revealing shadows under her eyes and wrinkles that etched her exhaustion on her face. It was her 10-year-old son, Ethan, whose laughter pulled her from the depths of fatigue. His innocent giggles were like sunlight piercing the clouds, offering fleeting moments of joy in her relentless grind. Yet, beneath the surface, a storm brewed within her heart, one that involved an estranged father and a past she couldn't shake. One rainy afternoon, after wiping down tables at the diner until her hands ached, Ethan bounded into the house, radiating excitement. "Mom! Their essay workshop at the community center. It's about astrology and personal growth. Can we go?" Sarah chuckled, shaking her head. "What do the stars know about hard work and helping us pay the bills?" But Ethan was persistent, flashing that infectious smile that made her heart skip. "Please, Mom. Just for one night?" That evening, the scent of freshly baked cookies and the sound of laughter welcomed them as they entered the lively community center. Sarah felt an odd mix of skepticism and hope. Could a workshop filled with people talking about zodiac signs really have anything meaningful to offer her? With her son's encouragement, she sat in a circle, surrounded by warm faces sharing vulnerable stories that pierced her tough exterior. As the sessions progressed, a weathered war veteran's tale of finding peace in vulnerability resonated deeply with her. His story spilled out like molten gold, revealing raw emotion hidden behind decades of bravado. The young couple spoke of navigating the storms of societal prejudice, and the entrepreneur faced the gut-wrenching struggles of failure in pursuit of their dreams. Each person's journey peeled back layers of her own heart, forcing her to contemplate her fractured relationship with her father. Was there hidden resilience in his experiences too? Before the workshop's final discussion, a moment struck her like a bolt of lightning. They discussed reconciling past wounds through understanding shared traits, and Sarah's heart raced. In the context of the workshop, she discovered uncanny parallels between her own zodiac sign and her father's, a realization that sent shockwaves through her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let us continue. As she listened to others, internal emotions intermingled with every word spoken. The atmosphere became thick with hope, humor, and healing. It was intoxicating. Yet, the celebration at the community center took her breath away. Triumphs were shared, laughter erupted, and the spirit of unity dazzled under the dim lights. Caught between memories of her past and the thrilling possibility of healing, Sarah stood on an emotional precipice. Could she reach out to her father, or was she destined to remain trapped by the chains of resentment? The stars had begun to align, whispering secrets of forgiveness. Just as she contemplated taking a plunge, a sudden event shook the crowd. Fear and excitement rippled through the air, leaving her breathless and questioning everything she thought she knew about love and family. Would she seize this moment to mend what had been broken for so long? The energy in the room shifted abruptly, a collective gasp escaping lips as a loud crash echoed from the entrance of the community center. Sarah's heart thumped violently against her chest as her focus darted to the source of the commotion. A tall figure stumbled in, drenched from the downpour outside. Gasps turned to whispers as recognition spread through the audience like wildfire. "Is that?" someone murmured. Sarah squinted. It was a man, his features obscured by rain-soaked hair and shadows. But even through the haze, she could make out the familiar jawline, the worn leather jacket that, as a child, she'd marveled at. It was her father. A multitude of feelings surged within her: shock, anger, confusion, and a shiver of hope that she dared not embrace. He hadn't reached out in years. Yet, here he was, flooding back into her life uninvited. Ethan tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide. "Mom, is that Grandpa?" The tension in the room was palpable. Silence fell as the stranger stepped closer, wringing out his jacket. All eyes were on him, ready to catch every word he might utter. "Sarah," he breathed, his voice hoarse. "I know this is unexpected, but I needed to find you to explain." His words were drowned by a burst of enthusiastic applause from a group across the room. Some folk seemed delighted, welcoming him back as if he were some long-lost hero. This was no Hollywood movie, and Sarah felt far from ready for a scene like this. "Why now?" she managed, her voice breaking slightly. "After all these years, why come back? You chose to leave. What happened?" Her father started, but she cut him off. "It should have been me asking you that." The words spilled from her heart, raw and unfiltered. "You left us without a word, and I had to put everything together on my own." Around them, the atmosphere tensed again. She could see the well-meaning but confused faces in the circle, uncertainty settling like fog over an oncoming storm. "I know I made mistakes," her father replied, hands trembling slightly. "But I've changed. I've realized how much I missed, how much I lost." Every flinch of his words pulled at her heart. He looked older, weathered, like a man trying to claw back time he didn't know he had. Her thoughts flashed back to the workshop, the stories of vulnerability that had pierced through her walls just hours ago. "Please, let me explain," he implored, desperation etched on his brow. Ethan stepped forward, nudging his mother gently. "Mom, maybe we should listen. This could be important." Sarah glanced down at her son, his wide, trusting eyes piercing her steely resolve. How could she deny him the chance to understand? A small part of her felt the stirrings of hope fluttering to life, yet the wounds were still fresh. As her father began to share his story, twisting through a narrative she could hardly imagine, Sarah's mind raced. Was she ready to open the door to such a complex flood of emotions that had lain dormant for so long? What if this was the first step to healing, or would it simply deepen the scars? With every moment that passed, the weight of the past hung heavy in the air. Would she find the strength to embrace the possibilities? As the crowd leaned in, wrapped by the unfolding drama, Sarah's heart beat louder, thrumming with uncertainty. This was no longer just a workshop, this was an opportunity to either mend or shatter the fragile strings of their familial ties. Could she really take that leap into the unknown? Just then, in the midst of that charged atmosphere, she felt a shift within herself, a tiny fissure of resilience bursting open. Holding her breath, she prepared to confront the man who had haunted her dreams and shaped her fears. Would she dare step into this moment of reckoning? And as she opened her mouth to finally respond, the words caught in her throat, teetering between longing and past hurts. What would come next? Her father stood before her, soaked to the skin, his eyes pleading for understanding. She could see the shadows dance across his face as he took a deep breath, gathering himself to respond. The anticipation in the air was thick, and she felt Ethan's small hand in hers, anchoring her in this tumultuous moment. "I wasn't going to come back," he began, his voice quavering slightly. "But the truth is I've been lost without you both. I thought leaving would make things better, but it only shattered me. I thought I'd protect you by staying away, but I was wrong." Sarah narrowed her eyes, feeling the anger bubbling to the surface again. "You think disappearing was protecting us? You left us to pick up the pieces. I was only a kid, Dad. I didn't understand any of it. I still don't." The audience had fallen silent now, focusing solely on the fragile exchange between father and daughter, teetering on the brink of revelation. His face fell, the weight of his regrets hanging heavy in the air. "I didn't know how to face you after what I did. After I saw the hurt in your eyes, I couldn't bear to come back. But I've thought about you every day, every day. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was the first time she had ever heard him speak of his regrets so openly. The flickers of hope she had been afraid to embrace threatened to ignite. But scars didn't heal that easily. Could she let herself believe in his words? Why now? She pressed, her voice stronger, desperate for clarity. What changed? He hesitated, glancing down at the floor as if he were searching for the right words among the scuffed linoleum. I've got nothing left to lose. I lost my job, my friends, everything fell apart. I realized I could no longer run from my past. I had to come to you, to face it all, no matter how much I feared it. Emotion flooded her as she studied his face, the lines of regret etched deep. He was vulnerable now, stripped of the armor he used to protect himself. Her heart ached at the thought of all those lost years. Did you really just walk away? Ethan piped up, his voice innocent yet powerful. Did you not want us? The question hung heavy, silence enveloping them momentarily. Sarah could see her father's struggle, the pain of exposure. No, Ethan, he rushed to reassure. I wanted to be there for you, so much. I just didn't know how. Sarah squeezed Ethan's hand, her mind racing as the truth of this moment began to settle. The boy had always wanted a grandpa, a bridge between generational pain and potential healing lay before them. Maybe you can start now, she whispered, courage sparking within her. But it can't be just words. It has to be real. You must prove to us that you want in this time. His eyes glimmered with genuine gratitude as he took a single step forward. I will, I promise. I'll do whatever it takes to regain your trust. Around them, the whispers subsided into a supportive murmur. People were watching, waiting for her decision. Trust wasn't easily given, especially after it had been broken so many times before. But perhaps there was something worth saving. Just then, a soft voice piped up from the back of the room. We all deserve a second chance, Sarah. Sometimes, it's the mistakes that teach us how to love better. Sarah turned, surprise rendering her momentarily speechless. The words resonated deep within her, with her heart racing. She took one more look at her father, who stood there, fragile yet determined. Could she really allow the past to mend itself, to embrace the hope of a different future? In that moment, the atmosphere crackled with potential, an electricity holding her captive. And just as she was about to respond, just as hope flickered in her heart, she noticed a familiar face lurking just outside the center, someone she never expected to see. What was he doing here? Sarah's heart raced, a mix of apprehension and disbelief coursing through her. There, framed by the door, stood Mark. His brown hair was tousled, and there was a glint of worry in his eyes. He hadn't been a part of her life for years, yet his sudden presence felt like a rush of wind, stirring up emotions she thought she had buried. Mark? She managed, her voice almost a whisper. The room seemed to melt away, drawing her focus to him. All those memories rushed back, the laughter, the tears, the whispered dreams shared in the dark. Her father, caught off guard, turned to see who she was looking at. His expression shifted from hope to confusion, and Sarah sensed the tension that filled the air. Do you know him? He asked, the betrayal from leaving still hanging over them like a dark cloud. Mark stepped fully into the room, his eyes darting back and forth between Sarah and her father. I didn't want to intrude. I saw you, I couldn't just walk away. He stepped closer, forcing a smile despite the heaviness of the moment. Sarah, I've been trying to reach you. I heard about your father showing up. I wanted to be here. The words tumbled out, and Sarah felt her chest tighten. What did he want from her now? After all this time, was his presence meant to support or disrupt? Why now? She echoed her father, the familiar anger rising in her throat. Why didn't you come before? Because I thought you didn't need me anymore, he replied, his voice sincere but laced with uncertainty. I saw you moving on. I thought it was best to let you be. Ethan tugged at Sarah's side, looking from her to Mark, obviously confused. Is he a friend? Sarah held her breath, torn between old memories and the possibility of forging a new relationship with her father. He was someone important to me, she told Ethan, not wanting to overwhelm him with the full history. Mark took a step closer, his gaze fixing on her father. I know this isn't easy for you, he said, voice steady. But I am not here to disrupt. I want to be a part of this too. The air grew heavy, filled with mixed emotions. The murmurs from the audience became louder in her ears, but they faded as Sarah locked eyes with Mark. The past they shared was pulling on her heart, twisting her thoughts. Did she still care for him? Could she trust him again? Her father's brow furrowed, and she could see the internal battle waging within him. This is about us, not him, he interjected, the desperation clear. We're trying to find our way back to each other. But it's about all of us, Mark insisted, glancing at Ethan. You deserve the whole picture, Sarah. Not just pieces of a broken past. Suddenly, the walls felt like they were closing in. She had to decide. She could either grasp the past and fight for a connection with Mark, or she could focus on rebuilding a future with her father. Tension filled the air as Sarah stood frozen. Her heart pounded, batting against the weight of the choices laid before her. I don't know, she finally whispered, feeling the sting of unshed tears. Just then, the doors swung open, and a new figure stepped inside. A tall woman, wearing a coat that shimmered under the dim lights, with a fierce look of determination in her eyes. Sarah. I need to tell you something important. And with that, Sarah's world tilted on its axis once again. What could this stranger possibly bring to her tumultuous life? As hope and uncertainty warred inside her, she braced herself for what was about to unfold. The woman strode closer, her presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. Sarah felt the heat of her gaze, searching for something, as if she had something crucial to reveal. The low hum of voices faded, leaving only the pounding of Sarah's heart at the intersection of the past and the future. I'm sorry to barge in like this, the woman said, her voice steady yet urgent. But I've been looking for you, Sarah. Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Sarah's mind raced, piecing together fragments of her life. Who was this woman? What did she want? She could sense her father's tension, the way he clenched his fists, ready to push back at any moment. Mark, standing nearby, looked just as bewildered, his eyes flickering between the newcomer and Sarah. Who are you? Sarah finally managed, her voice gaining strength. What do you want? My name is Clara. I'm a friend of your mother's, the woman said, commitment evident in her tone. I know this sounds strange, but I have something important to discuss about your family. The room seemed to thrum with tension and anticipation. Sarah's thoughts were a swirl of emotions, anger, hope, fear. This was not how she envisioned today would unfold. My mother? She echoed, disbelief lacing her voice. She had lost her mother to the shadows of memory long ago, buried under layers of questions and unspoken words. Yes, Clara replied, stepping closer with a sense of urgency. There's so much you don't know. And time is running short. Sarah exchanged a glance with her father. His expression was a mix of concern and defensiveness. Was this a trap? Mark, ever the brave one, positioned himself protectively in front of Sarah. Maybe we should take a step back. Let Sarah think. No. Sarah interjected, surprising herself with the intensity of her voice. No more waiting. If there's something I need to know about my mother, I deserve to hear it. The moment stretched on, thick with unspoken fears and dreams deferred. Clara nodded, as if relieved at Sarah's decision. Your mother made sacrifices, Sarah. Sacrifices you might not understand. But they were meant to protect you. Protect? Sarah's throat tightened. What could possibly need protecting? Questions bombarded her mind, flooding her thoughts. What had her mother gone through? What secrets had been buried? Sacrifices? Her father's voice trembled as he took a step forward, vulnerability leaking through his stoicism. What are you talking about? Clara turned her gaze to him, sensing the memories swirling around them. I know it's complicated, but this involves your past, too. It ties all of you together. Ethan tugged at Sarah's arm again, his young eyes wide with confusion. Mom, is everything okay? In that moment, the ominous weight of their family's secrets spilled over, and the room felt charged with the promise of revelations yet to come. Tension and hope wove together, creating a fragile tapestry of possibilities. Mark stepped back, watching Sarah closely, both protective and apprehensive. Whatever it is, you don't have to face this alone, he spoke softly, his voice a tether in the storm of chaos. As Sarah turned to Clara, determination surged within her. Tell me everything. Clara inhaled deeply, the air thick with anticipation. It starts with a letter, she began, her words slicing through the uncertainty like a hot knife. A letter that could change everything you thought you knew. Sarah's heart raced once more, caught between fear and the flicker of hope. What would this letter unlock? What truths could unfold that might bridge the chasm of her fractured world? The silence that followed was deafening, a moment suspended in time as all eyes turned to the woman who held potential answers. As Clara continued, Sarah leaned in, ready to uncover the tangled threads of her family's past, but could she handle the truth? What awaited them within the shadows of forgotten memories? Clara's gaze settled on Sarah, her expression sincere, almost pleading. This letter, it was written by your mother before she lost her memory. It contains secrets about your family, things that were never meant to be forgotten. The hushed silence in the room amplified the weight of her words. Sarah's pulse pounded in her ears. A letter? The thought of her mother's words, once so distant, suddenly felt tangible, like a whisper from the past clawing its way to the surface. Where is it? She demanded, anticipation mingling with dread. Clara took a step back, as if the question had pushed her deeper into a memory. It's been hidden. Your mother wanted it kept safe. I can help you find it, but we need to act fast. There are others who would do anything to keep that letter buried. Who? Sarah pressed, feeling the fibers of her family history begin to unravel before her. The urgency in Clara's voice stirred her protective instincts, awakening a fierce need to take control of her story. I can't say much right now, Clara replied, glancing at Sarah's father, who still stood rigid, an unyielding shield in the storm. But there are people who have their own motives, and they'll stop at nothing. Stop. Her father interrupted, his voice strained with the kind of force that rattled Sarah's bones. You've come here and brought chaos into our lives. I want assurances that you're not leading us into trouble. Mark stepped closer to Sarah, his expression morphing from bewilderment to unwavering support. It's okay, Mr. Johnson. If there's a chance this letter will help Sarah understand her mother, then we should explore it. Explore it? Her father shot back, the defensiveness in his voice echoing off the walls. This isn't an adventure, Mark. It's our life. A host of mixed emotions surged through Sarah: fear of the unknown, anger at her father's overprotectiveness, and an eager tug of curiosity. She could feel Ethan's small hand squeezing her arm tightly as he sensed the rising tide of tension. Mom, what is going on? He whispered, confusion etched across his innocent face. With a reserved strength, Sarah made her choice. I need to know, Dad. I need to face whatever this is, together. The last word hung in the air, powerful and unyielding. Her father fell silent, and Clara nodded, acknowledging this fragile but important victory. If you're willing to go on this journey, we need to start while there's still light. I believe the letter is hidden in a place that may seem familiar to you, Sarah. What do you mean? Sarah frowned, mind racing. Familiar? The sense of dread loomed large, wrapping around her chest like a vice. What could she possibly have missed about her mother? It's tied to your childhood home, the attic, perhaps. It's a place full of memories, both sweet and haunting. Clara's eyes glimmered with a semblance of hope. Your mother used to talk about her dreams for you, before what? Sarah pressed, suppressing the biting wave of emotion welling in her throat. Before she forgot? Yes, Clara said gently. And that's precisely what we must recover. The truth that was lost in memory can reforge the bonds of your family if you're all willing to face what has been buried. Sarah exchanged glances with Mark, and then with Ethan, whose eyes were wide with anticipation. The path lay before them, dark and unsettling, yet she felt something stirring deep inside, a flame igniting in her resolved spirit. Let us go, Sarah said, her voice steady. Let us find that letter. As they moved towards the door, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into a web of secrets ready to ensnare them. The shadows of the past whispered all around her, promising revelations that could shatter or heal. The drive back to her childhood home felt interminable, each passing moment thick with lingering questions. What lay ahead? What truths awaited them in the forgotten corners of her past? But one question loomed above all others, an echo reverberating in her mind. Was she truly ready for the answers that could change everything? The gravel crunching beneath their tires seemed to echo in Sarah's mind, each sound a reminder that they were heading toward a past shrouded in mystery and silence. As familiar landmarks passed by a playground where she had spent endless summers and the old diner where her family shared pancakes on Sunday mornings, bits of her childhood flickered like old movie reels. But now, nostalgia was tainted by an uneasy feeling, an anxious knot tightening in her stomach. We're almost there, Clara said, glancing over at Sarah, her expression both encouraging and knowing. It felt like Clara saw something in Sarah, something that wanted to break free. Just remember, no matter what you find, it doesn't define who you are today. Easier said than done, Sarah murmured, squeezing Ethan's hand tighter. His wide, innocent eyes looked up at her, full of unspoken questions, and she felt a surge of protectiveness wash over her. Once they reached the house, it stood as it always had, faded blue paint peeling slightly at the edges, the porch swaying gently in the breeze. But now, it seemed like a portal to another life, a stagnant pool of secrets just waiting to be disturbed. How do you feel about heading straight up to the attic? Mark asked, his voice steady but his apprehension evident. The anxiety in the air was palpable, a tangible fog that clung to them like the mid-afternoon humidity. Sarah nodded, trying to swallow the lump in her throat. Let us do it. They pushed open the door, and it creaked in protest as if it hadn't been opened in years. Dust particles floated in the sunlight streaming through the window, creating a sort of ethereal quality to the space. Sarah stepped inside, her heart racing as memories began flooding back, her mother sitting on the floor, organizing boxes, and chatting about the wonders of life. This place holds so many stories, Clara whispered, trailing behind them with an air of reverence. Your mother loved it here. Every step toward the attic felt like a step backward in time. The wooden stairs moaned under their weight, each squeak reverberating through Sarah's core. When they finally reached the attic door, she felt a wave of hesitation wash over her. Would they find a letter? Or something more devastating? As she pushed the door open, it gave way with a soft thud, revealing a cluttered room. Old memories lay scattered about, forgotten toys, weathered books, and the remnants of a life that felt both foreign and achingly familiar. Where do we even start? Ethan asked, gazing around, his voice just above a whisper. Let us look for boxes that might stand out, Clara said, moving carefully through the chaos. Anything that your mother might have used often could lead us to the letter. Sarah began sorting through boxes, a lump forming in her throat with each memory she unearthed. She paused at a faded backpack, her heart aching as she remembered the first day of school, her mother's reassuring smile, the way she combed her hair just so. Mom, she breathed, the pain of longing overwhelming her. Then, out of the corner of her eye, something caught her attention. A box, different from the rest. It had a lock, ornate and dusty. She stepped closer, her fingers trembling as they traced the details. This could be it. Do you have the key? Clara asked, eyes wide with anticipation. No. I don't think I've ever seen it before. The dread seeped back in, mixing with hope, leaving her feeling tangled and lost. Let us see if we can open it anyway, Mark suggested, stepping closer to help. As they worked together, emotions swirled around them, each heartbeat echoing louder in the silence. Sarah's mind raced. What if it isn't the letter? What if it was something she wasn't ready to confront? There was so much riding on this moment. Finally, with a soft click, the lock gave way. The box opened slowly, revealing a collection of letters, some fresh and others yellowed with age. A mixture of dread and hope washed over her. Is this it? Clara leaned in, her breath catching as she caught sight of the letters. These could hold exactly what you need. Sarah. Just then, a noise from the back of the attic made them all jump. A soft thud, like someone or something had shifted. Sarah's heart raced. What if there were others here? What if the shadows of her past were not just echoes of memories, but living, breathing threats? Did you hear that? She asked, her voice shaky, and as the weight of uncertainty pressed down again on her, she knew whatever was coming next would upend everything she thought she understood about her family and herself. The attic felt as if it were holding its breath. The noise echoed in Sarah's ears, stretching the moment, amplifying her fear. Clara, Mark, and Ethan shared nervous glances, silent communication flashing among them. What if whatever had shifted was part of the past she was so desperately trying to understand? Let us check it out, Mark said, his voice firm despite the uncertainty in his eyes. He stepped toward the back of the room, his footsteps barely muffled against the creaky floorboards. No, wait. But Sarah's protest came too late. Mark was already moving away from the letters, the heart of the mystery they had just unlocked. We should stay focused, she added, trying to sound brave, even as her insides churned with apprehension. I'll go with him, Clara said quickly, hurrying to catch up. Just to look around. Left with Ethan, Sarah felt the weight of the letters pulling her gaze. Each envelope whispered of stories untold. Breathing deeply, she reached for the first one, crisp and new, it yet carried a scent of nostalgia that tugged at her heart. She hoped this was it, the key to understanding her mother, the closure she craved. Mom, she murmured, feeling the warmth of memories brush against her like a soft ray of sunlight. She tore open the envelope, anticipation bubbling within her. But as she began to read, her joy turned into confusion. The words spoke of dreams, of love, but they were not addressed to Sarah. Instead, they were love letters full of raw emotion, penned in a delicate hand that felt equally familiar and foreign. Who were you, Mom? She whispered, running her fingers over the cursive. Each letter revealed a woman with dreams outside of motherhood, a side of her that had been shrouded in mystery. The more Sarah read, the more she felt her heart cracking open, revealing a chasm of understanding. But as exhilaration danced with sorrow, another sound broke her concentration, a louder thump, followed by the unmistakable sound of scraping. Did you hear that? Ethan asked, eyes wide, shadowed by confusion. Yes, she said, biting her lip. But don't worry. It's probably just the house settling. Or a monster, he replied, a playful grin breaking through the tension. She couldn't help but chuckle. No monsters, I promise. But she knew she was trying to convince herself just as much as him. Clara and Mark returned, their expressions taut as if they had encountered something unsettling. There's nothing. Just stuff, Mark said dismissively, but the unease in his voice betrayed an undercurrent that unsettled Sarah. Let us just focus on these letters, Clara urged, guiding the group back toward the stacks. Whatever else is here can wait. You matter most, Sarah. With newfound determination, Sarah gathered the letters, poring over them. Each one peeled back layers, revealing glimmers of a life that had not just been about her sibling and raising them through struggles. There were dreams, travel, art, places never seen. A life that could have been. What's this one about? Clara pointed to one that seemed different from the rest, as if it was filled with a different kind of urgency. The paper crumpled in a way that suggested it had been handled often. Sarah inhaled sharply as she unfolded it. The words were jagged, filled with panic, longing, and something darker. It talks about a decision she had to make. Her voice wavered, the weight of every word almost too much to bear. Their eyes widened as Sarah's heart raced. What decision? Her pulse thundered in her ears. This was at the edge of discovery. What could it possibly reveal about her mother's past choices? As Clara reached for more letters, Sarah glanced back toward the darkened corner of the attic, where the noise had come from. A shadow flickered, catching her eye. Wait, she hesitated. What's that? Before anyone could respond, the shadows shifted again, revealing something unexpected: a small door, partially hidden behind a stack of boxes. The air thickened with tension, as if the house itself was holding its breath, waiting for a decision to be made. Should we? Clara started but trailed off as anticipation crackled in the air. Pulling together her courage, Sarah felt her heart steady. They had come this far. Whatever lay behind that door could lead to answers, unravel long-forgotten truths. Let us see where it leads, she said, determination clear in her voice. But as she moved closer, dread mingled with excitement. The moment before she opened the door felt like standing on the brink of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. What awaited them on the other side could alter everything. One deep breath, and Sarah reached for the doorknob. What would they discover there? Sarah felt the cool metal of the doorknob beneath her fingertips. Taking a deep breath, she turned it slowly. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow, dimly lit space beyond. A musty smell wafted out, hinting at secrets left untouched for too long. Her heart raced, curiosity warring with anxiety. Should we turn on a light? Clara asked, her voice barely above a whisper, her eyes flicking nervously toward the darkness. Ethan shuffled his feet, glancing at the shadows beyond the threshold as if they might speak back. Maybe we shouldn't go in there at all, he added, uncertainty thick in his voice, but Sarah stood firm. A flicker of hope ignited within her. This lead could finally shed light on the woman who had always stood just beyond her reach. No, we need to know, she urged, stepping into the darkness. The others exchanged wary glances but eventually followed her, drawn into the mystery like moths to a flame. The room beyond was small and cluttered. Items lay scattered: old furniture covered in dust sheets, boxes stacked against the walls, and some forgotten memories trapped in midair. There, propped against the far wall, was a weathered trunk with intricate carvings on its surface. Look! Clara pointed. The shadows returned to her eyes, but excitement mixed with her initial fear. Sarah walked towards it, her pulse quickening with each step. What do you think is inside? Only one way to find out, Mark said, his voice steadier now, reflecting the shared anticipation among them. As they gathered around, Sarah felt the weight of the decision to open the trunk settle heavily between them. What if it held more letters? Or photographs? Or something even more extraordinary that would change how she viewed her mother? With shaky hands, she lifted the heavy lid. Dust floated in the sliver of light that poured in from the attic, and as she opened it, they were met with moth-eaten clothes, a forgotten wardrobe that belonged to someone who hadn't worn them in years. Beneath the clothes, however, lay a stack of familiar-looking journals, their covers worn but the pages waiting like blank canvases for the stories to be brought back to life. Journals? Clara breathed, her excitement palpable. Yes, Sarah replied softly, lifting one out carefully. A name was embossed on the cover in delicate letters: her mother's. Sarah sat down, her heart pounding as she opened the journal. Scanning the words, her anticipation blossomed into something deeper. Thoughts and feelings leaped off the pages: her mother's dreams, fears, and her everyday struggles. Spirits rising and falling, a life in real time. Oh, Sarah! Clara's voice drifted, reading a passage over her shoulder. It's like she is speaking directly to you. Tears stung Sarah's eyes as she absorbed her mother's reflections. It was exhilarating and painful all at once. Her mother wasn't just a woman caught up in raising children, she was a human with hopes, dreams, and so many unanswered questions. What else is there? Mark asked, looking over her shoulder, intrigued, feeling a swell of pride. Sarah continued reading snippets out loud, laughter and sighs mixing in the air. Each entry unveiled a deeper connection, every word sewing together the scattered pieces of who her mother once was, but amid those stories, one entry stood out, sending a chill down her spine. It spoke of a relationship that had seemed to tumble into chaos. "I've never felt so lost," Sarah read aloud. "As if I am standing on the edge of something terrible." "Do you think?" Ethan's voice faltered as he glanced at Sarah. "Do you think she was afraid of something? Something she never told you?" His words sank into the air. The underlying current of fear and uncertainty pulled at her heart. Had her mother hidden parts of her life not just for the sake of keeping them safe but to shield them from something darker? As Sarah flipped through the journal, she found references to places she didn't recognize, and names that felt foreign. Each new revelation carved deeper into her resolve. She needed to know the truth whatever it might be. "Keep looking," Clara urged, her eyes bright with discovery, as if the past was just waiting to unfold without reluctance. But then, a distant crash echoed through the house, sending a ripple of panic through them. The sound, sharp and jarring, felt like a signal something was stirring beyond the realms of the attic. What was that? Mark's voice rose, thick with alarm. "We should check it out," Sarah insisted, even as uncertainty tugged at her heart. Together, they gathered their courage, hearts pounding in the wake of fear, yet wrapped in the cocoon of newfound understanding. The blend of hope and dread ignited within Sarah, pushing her toward whatever was unfolding outside. As they moved to leave the attic, one thought anchored Sarah's mind: what other truths were waiting to emerge? The shadows crept closer, hinting that discovery was just the beginning. The noise echoed through the house again, louder this time, shaking Sarah's resolve. Fear gripped her heart as she led the way down the attic steps. Mark followed closely, and Clara brought up the rear, her expression a mixture of excitement and concern. Ethan looked up at Sarah, his small face set with determination. "Mom, do we really have to check?" he asked, tugging on her sleeve. "We need to know what's happening," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "We're in this together." As they made their way downstairs, the tension thickened, each creak of the floorboard sounding like a countdown. They reached the main floor and saw the living room splashed in shadows, dust motes dancing in the beams of light from the windows. The house felt alive, and that charged atmosphere made every heartbeat pulse like thunder in her ears. "Stay close, everyone," Sarah whispered, her voice almost a tremor. Suddenly, another crash erupted, this time from the kitchen, sending an icy stab of fear through her. "What if it's something dangerous?" Ethan's voice broke, raw with uncertainty. "Then we face it together," she said, her heart racing, the thought of protecting her son igniting every ounce of strength within her. They crept towards the kitchen, each step heavier than the last. The distant thumps mixed with the beating of her heart, echoing the very essence of her fear, her past. With a rush of courage, Sarah swung the kitchen door open. Before her stood the remnants of a toppled stack of boxes that had spilled onto the floor like a waterfall of memories, but it wasn't just the boxes. In the corner, rummaging through the chaos, was a figure she hadn't expected to see. "Jima?" A woman emerged from the shadows, her eyes wide and startled, dropping a photo album she had been examining. "Sarah. I was just looking for Grandma." Sarah's heart raced, a whirlwind of mixed emotions swirling within her. Her grandmother had vanished into the fabric of her childhood, a memory intertwined with warmth but laced with pain. "Why are you here?" "I came to help, to protect you," her grandmother spoke, the urgency palpable in her voice. "There are people looking for the letters, Sarah. Those secrets you began uncovering, they could put you all in danger." Clara's face tightened, and Mark instinctively moved closer to Sarah, a protective wall against the uncertainty suddenly blooming. "How do you know about them?" Sarah demanded, her voice stronger now, with the strength of family flowing through it. "Hush now," her grandmother said, hastily gathering the fallen photos. "We don't have much time. I tried to keep the truth hidden, but you're uncovering things. The family you thought you knew, that history, it goes deeper than you can imagine. The truths within those letters are worth protecting, but they're attracting attention." "Attention?" Mark echoed, glancing at Sarah. "From whom?" "People who want to silence the past, keep it buried." Her grandmother's voice trembled, and Sarah felt a swell of urgency surge through her. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Sarah pressed, fear mingling with anger. "Why now? Why after all this time?" "Because fear kept me silent, waiting for a moment when you were ready. When you could confront it all." Her grandmother met Sarah's gaze, eyes glistening with unspoken emotion. "But now, you have a choice. You can continue down this path and risk everything, or we can find a way to secure your family's legacy first." A heavy silence fell over them, the weight of secrets pressing down. Sarah glanced at the journals and letters piled in the attic, the puzzle pieces of her mother's life unfolding before her. Did running from the truth really protect her? Did it protect Ethan? "Have you found something that can help?" Clara's voice cut through, and Sarah's mind raced. The urgency began to interweave with the hope of revelation. I have," her grandmother said, holding up a silvery key, its surface glinting in the fading light. "This will unlock a safe in the attic. Within it is a document that could change everything for our family. The truth is both a treasure and a burden, but it must be shared. Let us go back," Ethan said, gripping Sarah's hand. The resolve to uncover everything surged, fueled by their shared determination, their voices overlapping in a chorus of love, unity, and family. Together, they retraced their steps to the attic just as twilight draped its cloak over the sky, the home wrapped in shades of blue and gold. Once there, Sarah took the key, her heart thrumming as she approached the trunk. "This is it, isn't it?" Clara murmured excitedly. With trembling fingers, she inserted the key, determination blazing in her chest. The lock clicked open, the weight of generations swirling around her, ready to finally reveal itself. "You're entering uncharted territory," her grandmother cautioned. "I'm ready," Sarah replied, her voice steady. With one definitive motion, she lifted the trunk lid. A soft gasp escaped Clara, and Mark stepped closer, leaning in as if drawn toward an ancient light. Inside lay a collection of documents, each one holding the promise of answers and the path toward healing the bonds forged by their shared past, and there it was, Sarah's family peeking back at her from history. The truth was here, in her hands, and with it, the power to transform pain into understanding. "Let us read," together, Sarah said, looking at each smiling face beside her. As the first words spilled forth from the documents, illuminating the shadows of their histories and forging new paths toward healing, she knew this was just the beginning of their story, and with that revelation igniting the air, Sarah knew that whatever storms lay ahead, they would face them together, finally embracing the power of family, of love, and of the truth. Together, they took hold of the moment, connected through spirit, eternally bound by resilience, ready to reshape their legacy. Now, before we part, I urge you to reflect on this transformation. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that await you. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending in the comments, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the word and inspire everyone to confront their truth.